In a world where people come and go like seasons, sometimes a single glance can change the entire story of your life. And that's exactly what happened the night Olivia met Ethan, a night that neither of them knew would quietly rewrite the meaning of love, loss, and everything in between. It was a cold autumn evening in a peaceful little town in Vermont, where the streets were lined with golden leaves and the air carried that soft, nostalgic chill that makes memories feel heavier than usual. Olivia sat alone inside a small cafe near the window, staring out as if she was searching for something she couldn't quite name. Her coffee had gone cold long ago, but she didn't seem to notice. Her thoughts were louder than the world around her, filled with echoes of a past where love had once promised forever, but delivered nothing but silence in the end. She had learned to be strong, to smile when needed, to pretend she was okay, but deep inside, there was still a fragile part of her that feared being abandoned all over again. That's when Ethan walked in. He wasn't the kind of man who demanded attention, yet there was something about him that made the room feel different. Maybe it was the quiet sadness in his eyes, or the way he carried himself like someone who had been through storms and learned to survive them alone. He held a worn-out notebook in his hand, its edges bent and pages filled with things no one else had read. For a brief second, his eyes met Olivia's, and in that moment, something unexplainable passed between them, like two strangers who somehow felt familiar. He hesitated before walking over to her table. "Is this seat taken?" he asked softly. Olivia looked at him for a moment, then gently shook her head. "No, you can sit." That simple exchange became the beginning of something neither of them expected. Days turned into weeks, and somehow they kept finding their way back to that same cafe, as if the universe had quietly decided to bring them together again and again. What started as casual conversations slowly turned into something deeper, something real. They talked about everything and nothing at the same time. Olivia shared pieces of her past she had never dared to speak out loud, her voice trembling as she admitted how afraid she was of loving someone again. Ethan listened, not trying to fix her, not interrupting, just being there in a way no one else ever had. In return, Ethan slowly opened up about his own pain, the loss of his younger sister, a wound that time had never fully healed. He spoke about the guilt he carried, the nights he couldn't sleep, and the way he had built walls around his heart to protect himself from feeling that kind of pain again. Olivia didn't try to take his pain away. Instead, she simply stayed, showing him that sometimes love isn't about saving someone, it's about standing beside them in their darkest moments. Their connection grew in quiet, meaningful ways. Late-night walks under dim streetlights became their routine, where silence felt just as comforting as words. Sometimes their hands would brush against each other, but neither of them dared to hold on, afraid that something so delicate might break if they moved too fast. Love for them wasn't loud or rushed. It was patient, gentle, and built on understanding rather than promises. Winter came, and with it a deeper bond between them. Snow covered the town like a soft blanket, and they spent evenings talking about dreams they were too afraid to chase alone. Olivia began to smile more genuinely, her laughter no longer forced but free, while Ethan started to feel something he hadn't felt in years: hope. For the first time, both of them believed that maybe, just maybe, they had found something worth holding on to. But life has a way of testing even the most beautiful connections. One evening, Ethan sat across from Olivia, unusually quiet. The warmth between them felt different, almost fragile. After a long pause, he finally spoke, his voice barely steady. He had been offered a job in California, an opportunity he had worked toward for years, a chance to build a new life. It was everything he had once dreamed of, and yet it now felt like a decision he didn't know how to make. Olivia smiled when he told her, her eyes soft but hiding a storm within. She told him he should go, that he deserved this chance, that she would never hold him back. And she meant every word, but that didn't make it hurt any less. Because sometimes loving someone means letting them go, even when every part of you wants them to stay. The days leading up to his departure were filled with unspoken emotions. They spent more time together, trying to create memories strong enough to survive the distance. But no matter how much they tried to act normal, the reality of goodbye lingered between them like a shadow. The day Ethan left, the sky was gray, as if even the world felt the weight of their separation. At the train station, Olivia stood in front of him, her heart breaking in silence. When he pulled her into a hug, she held on just a little tighter, as if she could stop time if she didn't let go. "I'll come back," he whispered. She nodded, even though a part of her wasn't sure if life would allow it. As the train pulled away, Olivia stood there watching him disappear, holding on to the memory of his touch, his voice, his presence, everything that had become a part of her. And in that moment, she realized that some people don't just walk into your life, they become a part of your soul. Months passed. At first, they tried to stay connected. Calls, messages, late-night conversations. It all felt like a fragile thread keeping them together. But slowly, life began to pull them in different directions. Ethan got busy with his new job, adjusting to a new city, a new rhythm. Olivia tried to focus on herself, rebuilding her life piece by piece. The calls became less frequent, the messages shorter, until one day there was nothing at all. No goodbye, no closure, just silence. And sometimes silence hurts more than words ever could. Years passed. Olivia changed. She grew stronger, learned how to live with the emptiness, how to carry the memories without letting them break her. She built a life for herself, surrounded by new people, new routines, but there was always a small part of her heart that remained untouched, a quiet space that still belonged to Ethan. One autumn evening, much like the night they first met, Olivia found herself back at that same cafe. The air felt familiar, the memories lingering in every corner. She sat by the window again, a cup of coffee in her hands, her reflection staring back at her like a reminder of how far she had come. And then the door opened. She looked up, and there he was. Ethan stood there, older, changed, yet somehow the same. His eyes found hers instantly, just like they had years ago. Time seemed to pause, the world fading away around them. Neither of them spoke first, because some feelings don't need words. He slowly walked towards her, his heart racing in a way he hadn't felt in years. She stood up, her breath unsteady, emotions she thought she had buried rising all at once. "I never stopped thinking about you," he finally said. Tears filled her eyes, but she smiled, a real, genuine smile. "Neither did I." And in that moment, they both understood something important. Love doesn't always mean staying together forever. Sometimes it means finding your way back, even after getting lost.